back to my channel, and today in this video we'll study about operant conditioning, and in this video we'll study about the experiment we were talking in the last video, that with the sensory cues we cannot learn or we cannot train perform all the actions that we want. So what is the experiment and what is the interpretation of the experiment we'll see in this video. So in this video we'll study about the experiments that has performed in 4 sets. In the set 1, the rat was given some food to eat. After the food, the rat was exposed to X-ray, which made the rat to fell sick. So subsequently, it will then refuse to touch the food because the rat now learned that eating this particular food making the rat sick. So after a particular number of times this process is repeated, the rat will finally learn not to touch the food. Now in the second set, the rat was made to hear some sound. With the sound, the rat experienced some electric shock. So in due course of time, the rat will learn to take such action so to avoid the shock. Maybe the rat will start running from that position. The rat will move from that position. That's how the rat can learn to take a particular action. So that means in the first set, food was given, which is associated with illness. And in the second set, the sound, which is associated with the shock. Now in third and fourth set, the stimulus was reversed. In the set 3, the rat was given food again, but this time irradiated with X-ray, the rat got the shock. But it was observed that doesn't matter how often the rat was shocked, he remained fond of the food. In case of set 1, we observed that because the rat became ill, the rat learned not to touch the food. But here, though the rat is getting shocked, still the rat remains fond of the food. The rat is not refusing the food. Similarly, in set 4, after hearing a particular sound, if the rat is getting ill, still it is not developing any behavior to avoid the shock. These are the experiment in 4 sets. Now, what we can finally see that taste is related to illness, that is nausea. Whenever the rat is eating food, getting ill, so the rat learned not to touch the food. Similarly, the sound is related to shock. Whenever particular sound the rat hears and get a shock, the rat learned to take an action to avoid that shock. But in the reverse situation, when after having food, the shock is given, still the rat cannot able to associate both and was eating the food. Similarly, with sound and nausea. That means with some sensory clues, some particular action can only be trained or learned. With one clues, variety of other actions cannot be trained or learned. So now the question is, why so? Why they related taste with illness or nausea but not shock? The reason behind this is in the nature. In nature, the rat lives in burrows, in holes, underground holes. There, they always encounter varieties of foods. Some new insects are coming, some old insects are leaving that place, some new trees are developing, some trees are getting destroyed from that area. So, in that burrow underground condition, the always some or the other new food is coming in and the rat has to depend on that new foods. So how the rat will decide in nature which food to eat and which food not to eat. Say for example, the rat is having 4 varieties of food. So what the rat will do in nature? The rat will only eat minimal amount of food. But after eating the food, if the rat get sick, from the next time, the rat will not touch this food. The rat will then go to try the another food. If suppose in this food also, the rat will first try a very minute amount. With this amount, if the rat gets sick, from the next time, the rat will not touch this food. So, the rat will check for the next food. So, like this, in nature, the rat check the food by tasting it. Therefore, what we can conclude? All the form of learning, whether or not it look general, is actually a specialized response to particular kind of association that work in nature. Because of this only, the rat able to learn to avoid the food after getting ill, but not after getting shock. Because in nature, the rat learns this way only. The rat check the food. If get ill, from the next time, the rat will not touch that food. But in nature, it cannot check the food with shock. So we can train the rat to not to eat any particular item by relating it to the illness. Similarly, the sound with the shock. So whatever the form of learning is, or whatever the result in experiments we get, always that has a background of how actually the nature works or how actually any organism behave in a natural condition. So this is about operant learning. Now one question from my end for you all. Can you give the ultimate reason for such behavior? Do let me know in the comment section. If you found the video informative, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for the next video notification. Till then, stay safe, stay happy.